There it is, y'all. Jimmy Butler is officially traded. The whole drama and the saga with Miami Heat is finally over. He's being traded to the Golden State Warriors in exchange for Andrew Wiggins, Kyle Anderson, Dennis Schroeder, and a top 10 protected 2025 first round pick. But Kyle Anderson is being rerouted to Toronto, and Dennis Schroeder is being rerouted to Utah, and Utah is going to reroute PJ Tucker to Miami. And also, Detroit is coming in on the back end of things to help facilitate money. They're going to be taking on Lindy Waters and Josh Richardson. While also, that just happened, it is confirmed that Jimmy Butler has signed an extension with the Golden State Warriors. He is signing a 2-year extension worth $120 million. And so, yeah, there's a lot that I'm throwing at you right now, but a 2-year, $121 million extension with the Warriors through 2026 and 27 season. So a lot to unpack there. First thing I want to say is I love Detroit and what they've been doing all deadline. They came in with about $15-16 million in cap space, one of the only teams that have positive cap space during the actual season. And they've used that smartly as a facilitating option for teams that are trying to make all of this money work. If you haven't paid attention to the deadline today, Wednesday, before tomorrow's deadline, there have been a lot of different minuscule trades. And a lot of teams around the NBA are showing us, the media and fans, just how important and how restricting this second apron luxury tax stuff can get. We're seeing guys and teams make trades that don't look like anything. Guys that barely play, 13, 12 men on the bench is getting moved for a second round pick here, or is getting moved for a 2027 second round pick 4 years from now down the line over here. And you'll look at the report and say, yeah, they made that deal because they were $1 million over the luxury tax. That move just put them under the luxury tax by $200,000. They just want breathing room because of the restrictions the new CBA has implemented with the second apron. When you are a second apron team, you lose potentially your first round pick if you've been a second apron team for a certain amount of consecutive years. You can't aggregate contracts. The money you take in and the money you give out has to be the exact same dollar. It's all of these different restrictions. So we're seeing teams use and maneuver the cap and luxury and second apron very smartly. But I do want to give an acknowledgement to the Detroit Pistons. I love them coming in on the back end of this, not having to do anything. They're not giving up any picks, any players, and they're just absorbing a nice shooter in Lindy Waters. And we know Detroit can use all of the shooting that they're getting. And then they also come in and get Josh Richardson, a guy who can play on the ball, off the ball, can guard multiple positions, streaky shooter, but when the shot is going down, he looks like a difference maker, and he comes in with playoff experience. Now, for the Golden State Warriors, this move to me, I like, but I'm going to be honest. The one part I don't like about it is there's desperation. You can sniff desperation in this move. All day and yesterday, reportedly, the Warriors have been calling everybody they can call. They inquired on Paul George, Brandon Ingram, Kevin Durant. Kevin Durant told them about 4 or 5 hours ago he had no desire to go back and reunite with Golden State. They pivoted to Jimmy Butler. They've been on and off with Jimmy Butler for the last 3 or so weeks, right? They were intrigued with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler said no to everybody who wasn't the Phoenix Suns because he wanted a contract extension. Apparently, the Warriors were one of those teams that was hesitant to give him the extension because obviously, and rightfully so, we want to see you play. We want to see you come and play with Steph and Draymond. We want to make sure the fit is good before we hand out a blank check and not have any idea or any clue of exactly what we're getting or what the product is going to look like. And because of that, and because a lot of teams around the league outside of Phoenix had the same reservation, Jimmy Butler was Xing out everybody. And I didn't think at the time, and I still don't think it was a good look for Jimmy Butler. Now, ultimately, who cares? Especially not Jimmy Butler. At the end of the day, he got what he wanted. He left Miami. He got his extension. He's good. But just from a perspective of how he carried it and handled it, it looks extremely selfish on a surface level of just saying, hey, if you're not giving me the extension, I don't want to play. Don't matter how good you are, what position you are to win, who's over there. I only want to go to the team that wants to give me the check. And part of me, I'm with that. Let's get the bag. I'm not telling Jimmy Butler not to get the bag. But when you are running out of options, at some point, you got to do what you got to do. But again, this is why Jimmy Butler and his agent make the decisions and why they're the professionals, because At some point, I would have been like, Jimmy, we got to go. And I would have been wrong because, again, after all of that, after all of the drama, after all of the messiness, the pettiness, Jimmy Butler got what he wanted. 2-year contract extension worth nearly more than $60 million on each year, and he's not in Miami. He got exactly what he wanted. So for that, congratulations to Jimmy Butler. Congratulations to his agent. And then on the flip side, the Golden State Warriors, congratulations to y'all. Y'all did something. And I felt like this was a deadline where they could not afford to exit it not having done anything. Now, I will say I wish the Warriors came with this approach prior to today. It felt like they got real desperate because they sat on their hands and they waited and they waited and they waited. I just hope that they don't regret this move because they had a lot of linking to a lot of different other moves, right? I kind of, on a surface level, love the Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic move that was rumored to have been close to being completed. I still think that this team is going to need some size in the front court. And, you know, when it's all said and done, I don't know if they're competing this year to be a championship team, but there are some holes here. I do love the fact that you got Jimmy Butler. The one thing that I will say, though, is because you paid him, is Jimmy Butler going to be that motivated Jimmy Butler that we all have grown accustomed to love and see, right? I thought initially when this trade happened, hey, the Golden State Warriors are taking a swing. They're trying to put somebody around Steph Curry and give him as much of a competitive opportunity as they can to play on that stage as he continues to age in his Golden State Warriors era. But what you already paying Jimmy and him getting what he wanted, is there really a chip or anything he has to prove? A motivated Jimmy Butler, to me, was going to be a Jimmy Butler that didn't get his extension, that was going to have to play and show the rest of the league and the team that acquired him that he is worth the $120 million extension, and that was going to have him be available for every game, be playoff Jimmy. And maybe he'll still give you that because he was rewarded. Maybe that'll still be there. But a part of me sees how the NBA is going, and sometimes these players get paid and they get what they want, and they just start chilling. Those ankle injuries begin to linger a little bit more. You know what I mean? That back starts to hurt just a tad bit more. Those games start to decrease little by little by little and becomes noticeable. So I'm not questioning the integrity of Jimmy Butler because when he's on the floor, he has played hard and he has given Miami a lot of moments. He gave Chicago moments, gave Philadelphia some moments, gave the Minnesota Timberwolves some moments, and was a part of that first team to get back to the playoffs since Kevin Garnett. Hopefully he can do the same thing for the Warriors. They need it. The fit, I think he's going to fit well. He's going to play good off the ball. He's going to guard. He's an incredible cutter. I think he gives you another option to close games. I think he can be a guy that can do dribble handoffs. He can receive dribble handoffs. I think Jimmy Butler is a well-rounded basketball player that's going to make this team good. But still, I believe whether it's by the end of tomorrow or whether it's the offseason, there are another move or two for the Warriors to make. That interior size is going to be something that they're going to have to address. I know the history and the dynasty of the Warriors have never really cared or desired to have anything that's been like a real big man, but they're going to have to address it. Maybe there's still enough time to go out and get a Robert Williams. Maybe Nikola Vucevic with the Bulls value has gone down as far as what the Bulls will be demanding or asking for. If they can make a move like that, I think I start to look at the Warriors a little differently come playoff time, if I'm being completely honest. So, yeah, Jimmy Butler. You got to shout out his agent. His agent was getting a lot of flack, a lot of things that was happening and being said over the last so-and-so weeks and months, and his agent was on Twitter all the time responding to people and saying this and saying that. But ultimately, yeah, the Warriors go out and get a guy for Steph and for their regime to make one more push. And I'm looking at their roster now, and, you know, it's not half bad. You're talking about a team now that have Steph Curry. They're going to have AirPods and Buddy Hield and Moses Moody. You also still have Kuminga and Jimmy Butler as your wings. You have Draymond. You have Gary Payton II, Trace Jackson Davis, Kevon Looney, Quentin Post. You have Santos. So there's something there. But again, I would still be a bigger fan of this team if they were able to pivot and make one more move. Man, Robert Williams on that team would really, really, really get me intrigued. For the Miami Heat, I love this for the Miami Heat. I definitely saw the initial trade and was excited for Kyle Anderson and Dennis Schroeder. I felt like Kyle Anderson would have been a guy that Coach Spo would have figured out some things for and would have given him a role that he could have been valuable in. I thought Dennis Schroeder would have been a good, nice off the bench point guard for them. But obviously, like I said in the top part of this video, they both got rerouted. Dennis Schroeder to Utah. Do I feel like that's permanent? Do I feel like he's a buyout option? Probably more so on a buyout market type of thing. They got a lot of guards out there and a lot of young guards. Dennis Schroeder just doesn't fit the timeline there. Slow-mo over there with Toronto, another tall playmaking guy who can guard multiple positions. That's just an archetype that the Raptors have fallen in love with. But Andrew Wiggins, I like the Andrew Wiggins in Miami fit. I just don't know. It feels like this is going to be something that I'm going to enjoy watching. I think Andrew Wiggins is a really good basketball player. I think he's really good at being a complimentary guy, and I just think that this role is going to be extremely nice for him. I think he is going to have a little bit more freedom, right? There's not a Steph Curry and a Draymond and an official offensive system that they have out there in Miami. Obviously, Tyler Hero is now the number one option probably offensively. Obviously, you have Bam. He's going to get his looks and play his part offensively. But I think Andrew Wiggins could come in and fit right next to those guys, along with the Jaime Jaquez, the Nikola Jovic, Duncan Robinson. And they also went out and got a veteran in PJ Tucker. I am intrigued on what the Miami Heat are kind of cooking. I'm not going to lie to you. Like I said before, definitely was a little premature in what I was expecting when it came to Dennis Schroeder and Kyle Anderson potentially being on this roster. But overall, I like what they have. They have found a way to put something together that I think is going to be respectable and solid out there in the Eastern Conference. And more so than just now, I think what the Miami Heat are doing is the same thing that they've always done, especially under Pat Riley. They are just like the Lakers. They don't have the Hollywood element. They don't have the attraction and you know the glitz and glamour, I guess you would say, because they are ran with a certain level of excellency. But they know how to pivot after they lose a star, right? They went out, and I remember when they went out and got Shaq, and then I remember Shaq left, and it took a couple years, and then it turned to the LeBron and the Bosh and Wade big three. Then that happened. They had some down years then. They went out and they drafted some guys. They went out and they got Dragic. They brought Dwayne Wade back. Then you go, after bringing Wade back, you use him to help you go get Jimmy Butler. And then you put Jimmy Butler in a position to go to a couple of finals appearances. And now Jimmy Butler is gone and he exits. And they look to me like a really good team. They are a really good team that could use the next available star whenever it happens. They've been rumored to be in a position to start setting themselves up for a 2026 free agency to have a crazy amount of cap space available then. Looking at this roster, if I was going to be a player that would be available for that, I would want to come play with this team, especially if I was a guard or a wing. Like, they're going to check every box of complementary players. They're going to be good defensively. They're going to be well coached. At the end of the day, it is Miami. You got the tax benefit that helps a lot of the players want to go there. They are going to be a really good team and a really good destination that people are going to want to get to. And they're also, if the cap isn't enough to intrigue a free agent, and if you have to trade for them, they have the assets to do that as well. You have the Nikola Jovic. You have Jaime Jaquez. You have Kalel Ware. You have an extra pick now in 2025 draft. Like, they're going to be off into a really, really good situation. They just do a damn good job of pivoting. But even outside of that, just of what they have right now in today's time, I kind of like what they're cooking. It's going to be a fun young. It's going to be I don't want to call them young because there's some veteran pieces on here, but they're going to be a fun, athletic, grimy team that can hold their own on a night-to-night basis. Are they going to go out and win the Eastern Conference now? Absolutely not. Are they going to upset somebody in the first round? I wouldn't put my money on it, but they're going to be a tough out, and they're going to be respected, and they're going to play hard. And at the end of the day, that's what Miami Heat does, and they're going to continue to position themselves to go get their next star, kind of how we just saw the Lakers get Luka Doncic. Now, will the Miami Heat have the luck of the draw or get a get-out-of-jail-free blessing fall in their lap like Luka Doncic? I don't think so. But, again, they're positioning themselves to make another pivot in another year or two. And before you know it, they'll have their next guy with all of the surrounding pieces needed to go and compete in the Eastern Conference. So round of applause to Miami Heat. I think everybody kind of walks away happy. The Warriors went out and got a guy that they could say, look, Steph, we did it. The Jimmy Butler was able to get moved. He also got his extension. Yeah, they just did that. Miami is working through a resolution with Kyle Anderson. Toronto portion fell through, sources said. He could stay or be moved. A massive deal with many moving parts. So as this video continues, more news is popping out 24/7. Kyle Anderson may be a Raptor. He may not be a Raptor. He may be a Heat. He may be somewhere else. Who knows? But the main things are the main things. Jimmy Butler, Golden State, check. Wiggins, Miami, check. Schroeder, Heat, check. Lindy Waters, Josh Richardson to the Pistons, check. And then PJ Tucker, Heat, check. And a 2025 top 10 protected first round pick to Miami via the Golden State Warriors, check. That's all you have to know. I am Pee Wee the Plug. Make sure you locked into the Pee Wee the Plug channel all trade deadline long. And also make sure you subscribe and follow me on Twitch at Pee Wee the Plug, because I probably will be streaming at the end of the deadline as long as active things are happening. If this is the last big trade we're going to get, then we'll see. But I am anticipating a lot more moves. So y'all make sure y'all stay locked in. I'll see y'all next time. I'm out. Peace.